perimeter wall in Nairobi was caught on amateur video coming down, unable to hold back the pressure from the flood waters. Well, this coming just months after much ado by the government about the El Nino preparedness. How prepared was the city for these rains? Were any lessons learned in the last round of flooding that even caused deaths? Well, Friday briefing begins now. Well, those are live pictures coming. Nairobi's Kenyatta Avenue, of course, huge traffic snarl-ups. It's now 9 o'clock, and of course that's a different scene from what usually happens on any other day. But of course, because of the rains today, it has been quite a chaotic day on the roads, and of course a lot of messy situations pedestrians have found themselves in. And very, very interestingly, that perimeter wall that is believed to be part of the Department of Defense wall here in Nairobi coming down, caught on camera coming down. We will have that video for you shortly. But of course, this comes just months after there was a lot of talk about from the government about El Nino preparedness. Now, the questions, of course, many city residents are asking is how prepared was the city for these rains, and did we really learn any lessons, and what was really done? We will be having full details of that situation here on Friday Briefing. Thank you very much for joining us here on Friday Briefing. There we go. It's been great. It's great. I'm very happy to be back. My name is Betty Kialo, and this is Friday Briefing, the 29th of April, 2016. I trust that you've had a great day. Well, of course, Friday Briefing is back, and it's back with a bang. Sophia Wanuna has been doing really a great job in making sure that you're informed, but also very well entertained every Friday night. So today, it's not any different. We have Willis, the webmaster. He's going to be joining us live from Kisumu County with difficult pronunciations. Now today on the street we're asking people how to pronounce the word quagmire. I don't know if I've done it well. We'll see later on. But also our unrivaled segment, the guest anchor. I have very interesting guest anchors. Come on, guys. Really great gentlemen, the Asegos. Today we're really representing your family.
Yes,
yeah.
Let me say hi.
Okay, there we go. Okay, there we go. Yeah. There we go. Okay, all right.
I'll just smile and wait.
Thank you, like that. Larry is obviously the outspoken one. So Larry Asego and Lavin Asego.
He's worse than I.
Really? Okay, so this is how I say hi to my viewers. I don't know. Say hi to my viewers the way you say hi to your listeners on radio.
Hi, Betty Chalo's viewers.
That is really shady. Okay, Lavin Asego, of course, celebrated and renowned rugby player. Thank you very much for gracing our studios.
Thank you very much for having me.
So what do you do when you guys win, like the way we saw in Singapore? How do you guys normally do it?
After winning or before winning?
After winning, of course. That's the most interesting one.
Well, I mean, sometimes, most of the time it's very happy. You're very happy when you finally achieve what you've worked hard for. So it's just joy, emotions,
a lot of emotions,
mixture of tears.
Exactly, and
tears
prayers.
Prayers. Yes.
All right. So of course we will be getting to know them very, very well shortly. But for now, of course, let's have the highlights. Friday Briefing begins now. Have a seat. Mother Nature's fury, rains wreak havoc around the country.
We are now in the final stages of preparation for the Ivory and rhino horn ban on Saturday.
The burning of Ivory, all eyes on Kenya over Saturday's historical stockpile destruction.
These orders were made without us being heard.
Court suspends next week anti-IEBC protests but cries foul over court orders. And lives of Mombasa's conjoined twins hang in the balance as doctors ponder next step. Right, let's get this started. Our sign language interpreter is William Silla. Now, many are still on major roads trying to make their way home after heavy rains caused chaos in parts of Kenya. Michelle Ngele is on the streets of Nairobi right now to update us on the situation. Michelle, you have been chasing the floods the whole day and documenting the impact. Are things getting any easier now?
Well, a very good evening to you, Betty. Things are getting easier here. This is Kenyatta Avenue in the Nairobi CBD. The traffic is just now beginning to let up. If you can see behind me, there's a bit of easier flow of traffic today. But Betty, the rains have not been any easier than they were yesterday. Many Nairobians have been caught unawares today. In fact, earlier on, this was an area you could not stand on. The water was so high, up to a normal adult's knees, and so many manholes were covered by the water. I witnessed several people actually falling into the manholes and being helped by several people, and I was able to speak to many residents of Nairobi, many that are expressing concern at the drainage in Nairobi because it was really a messy area here, even after the Met Department issued a forecast on the 25th of April. But surprisingly, Betty, that forecast did not touch on Nairobi. The Met Department said there would be flash floods in the coastal area as well as the Rift Valley area, but surprisingly, nobody in the coastal area or the Rift Valley area has reported any such floods as are being witnessed in Nairobi right now. Many Kenyans saying that the Met Department, or the weatherman as they call them, have failed them. And important to note, Betty, at about 5 p.m. this evening, 4 people died along Lenana Road after a perimeter wall collapsed on them. And Kilimani OCPD Peter Katam did confirm the incident, saying that the 4 were actually taking shelter behind the wall before they met their untimely death. So 4 people, 1 lady and 3 men were injured. And I did compile a story earlier on the effect of the floods in Nairobi. Take a look at this story. Right,
Michelle, just before we get to that story, has any word come from the county leadership?
Well, Betty, any attempts to reach the county government's office were futile. We did request for an interview with Nairobi Governor Evans Kidero, but he was also not able to speak to us. But in a clip that I have put in the story compiled,
Right, we seem to be having some network issues with Michelle, but let's take a look at that story that she compiled for us earlier.
Nairobi County, the business hub of East Africa, has this week been brought to its knees by heavy rains leading to a flooded city. Friday evening, just like Thursday evening, hours of downpour left city roads impassable, with cars bumper to bumper along most highways and connecting roads. Motorists and pedestrians were caught off guard, vehicles swept away, and major roads like the Thika Superhighway, Ojijo Road, as well as the Kangundo Road hit hard, creating huge traffic snarl-ups that stretched several kilometers. The heavy rains also interrupted electricity supply and distribution systems, causing power disruptions in most parts of the city.
Mafuriko ya mvua imenyesha huo muda wote, yaani kusafiri ni shida, magari hata zingine zilianguka hapa kwa mtaro tukatoa asubuhi hizo saa ambao ilianguka ilikuwa saa 10 na nyingine saa hii tumetoa saa hii. Sasa kusafiri imekuwa shida.
Ila shida nimeona hii mvua imekuwa too much, sababu hata pikipiki inapoa kwa njiani kwa maji. Sasa tuko na tabu nyingi.
Sasa hata magari jana kupita ilikuwa ni shida. Hata sisi ndio tulikuwa tuna direct hao watu wanapita na magari angalau wasianguke kwa mitaro. So tunaambia serikali tusaidie angalau hii mambo isirudi tena. Mvua ikaendelea kutakuwa kama Budarangi.
With property destroyed and people marooned by the raging waters, handcart operators found an opportunity to make a quick buck. The rains are a replay of May last year when a downpour marooned vehicles on several roads in the city. Nairobi Governor Evans Kidero says it's not only the county government but Kenyans too that are responsible for the blocked drainage.
Najua maneno ya takataka bado imenaenea, imenunua malori, lakini nyinyi pia nataka msaidie. Sio mtu ananunua ndizi, anakula, anatupa, anasema wacha gavana hoja achukue.
After a similar storm in May 2015, the county government announced a 50 million shilling emergency recovery fund to be used largely to clear up blocked drainage and reconstruct damaged roads. This was to come from the development expenditure budget of the county for the year 2015-2016. But most of the roads rehabilitated have since gone back to their dilapidated state, and residents of East Africa's business hub continue to face a nightmare every time it rains. Michelle Ngele, KTN News.
Now shifting our focus to another developing story, and all eyes will be on Kenya tomorrow as while leaders, technocrats, diplomats and environmentalists witness President Uhuru Kenyatta touch the largest stockpile of ivory and rhino horns to have ever been burnt globally. It is a ceremony expected to be witnessed by about 3 presidents as well as global icons from various fields. Timothy Otieno has the details.
It has been weeks of preparations that will culminate in an event so significant it will be witnessed by both African and global leaders who have since made their way to Kenya. The ground zero for the activities Saturday morning will be at the Kenya Wildlife Service headquarters in Nairobi that also houses the only national park in the world within the proximity of a city, the Nairobi National Park. The pyres meant to be set ablaze, standing scattered across the park with 105 tons of ivory and 1.35 tons of rhino horns, displaying the massive risk and danger African wildlife face at the hands of poachers.
We are looking at an accumulation of ivory for the last 26 years or so, since 1989. We are looking at ivory that has come through the country, so part of it is illicit being on transit. We are looking at ivory that is been from cases of poaching, but also looking at natural deaths, maybe animals dying from, elephants dying from diseases, and cases of human-wildlife conflict.
According to the Kenya Wildlife Service, the 105 tons of ivory stacked in 11 piles of 16,000 tusks each is believed to have been obtained through the death of about 8,000 elephants, and a further 343 rhinos may have been killed for the 1.35 tons of their horns.
In our fight against illegal wildlife trafficking, is something that is transparent, it's been open to the media, open to the public. This is all ivory.
President Uhuru Kenyatta is hosting, among other world leaders, his Ugandan counterpart Yoweri Museveni and Gabon's President Seretse Khama, who will be joining more than 170 delegates expected from Kenya, the United States and Europe. Ivory sales are illegal under the terms of the International Convention on the Trade in Endangered Species, to which Kenya is a signatory. But despite this, the poaching menace, which is believed to rake in 3 billion shillings annually, still remains a major challenge. Environmentalists globally believe that tomorrow's banning of the illegal ivory will send a firm statement against poaching, which threatens to wipe out the remaining elephants and rhinos in the Kenyan wild. Timothy Otieno, KTN News.
Well, we await that historic burn tomorrow, but of course that's also a focus of our big question tonight, and we'd like to hear your thoughts on it. And we are asking, do you think burning ivory stockpiles would make a difference in the war on poaching? Do you think burning ivory stockpiles would make a difference in the war against poaching? That's our big question. We'd like to hear your thoughts on it. Do text me. The number to text in is 22155, but you can also tweet me directly at Betty M. Kialo, or use the hashtag Friday Briefing, and I'll be sampling your views during Friday Briefing tonight. To some politics now, and the Kenyan Opposition Court has protested the High Court's order barring their planned protest against commissioners of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Court claimed the court did not listen to their side of the story before making the order. But as KTN's political affairs reporter Duncan Kayamba reports, court has called off next week's planned protests at IEBC offices.
28th of April. The Friday ruling by Justice Isaac Lenaola stopping CORD from staging their round 2 protests of Storm and Occupy IEBC did not go down well with the opposition, with their lawyers led by Senior Counsel and Ugenya Senator James Orengo terming it as compromised.
We have not been given a hearing. Indeed, I made it clear to the judge, whom I respect, that we had not had sufficient time to look at the pleadings.
What we have witnessed in court today is a clear reminder of a judiciary that is clearly looking through the side mirrors and quickly backpedaling to take us back to the era that we have since forgotten.
5 Jubilee lawmakers who are represented by their advocate Harrison Kinyanjui moved to court seeking to have CORD stopped from continuing with their planned storming of IEBC, arguing that their actions are in complete violation of the Constitution.
Article 92 sub-article B of the Constitution dictates that no political party should intimidate or engage in the acts of intimidation.
CORD, which has vowed to contest the ruling, has however announced the calling off of next week's protest in honor of the late former First Lady Lucy Kibaki. The statement from CORD Secretariat partly reads, "The CORD principals have reached a decision to postpone all political activity during the 3-day mourning declared by the government and had instructed that the demonstration against IEBC scheduled for Tuesday 2nd May 2016 at 10 a.m. be postponed." Then it goes ahead to announce that the new date for the demonstration against IEBC shall now be on Monday 9th of May 2016 at 10 a.m. at IEBC headquarters at Anniversary Towers in Nairobi and at every IEBC office countrywide. On Thursday, the Inspector General of Police Joseph Boynet cautioned all police officers attached to VIP protection to refrain from getting involved in all situations that may be in breach of the law while accompanying their respective VIPs. Duncan Hemba, KTN News.
A lengthy meeting into late Thursday made headway in calling off the pilot strike at Kenya Airways. The aggrieved parties agreed that dialogue would be given a chance between now and the June 1st to resolve the differences.
Between midday and 5 p.m. on Thursday, hundreds of Kenya Airways passengers were stranded at Jomo Kenyatta, Moi and Kisumu airports after pilots went on strike demanding the resignation of the national carrier's top management, leading to flight cancellation throughout the evening.
Complaints from passengers because of slight delays, especially those people who had businesses to do in Nairobi. I think that was some slight disruption on the schedule.
After hours of deliberation with the Cabinet Subcommittee of Attorney General Githu Muigai and Transport Cabinet Secretary James Macharia, the pilots agreed to call off this strike late in the evening after it was agreed that some of the directors would exit the airline.
Some management changes have been effected immediately and thus conform with what this union can settle as a minimum. So I want to assure the country at large that our actions were based on the fact that we need to salvage the airline. And it was being the union that seems to have a bargaining power, we took it on ourselves that we will bargain for the 4,000 employees to have meaningful change so that this airline can prosper. Until we continue, until the end of our deliberations, which are set for June 1st, we shall crew every flight. The pilots shall extend every goodwill to make sure that they are not inconvenienced. We apologize for the inconveniences that have been caused to various people, and we assure you that this association, moving forward with the goodwill that has been shown by the management, will resolve all issues and we will not have to revert to this kind of action.
Joy Doreen Bira, KTN News.
South Sudan's President Salva Kiir has named a new cabinet, including former rebels and members of the opposition, a step forward in drawn-out peace process aimed at ending more than 2 years of conflict. A decree read out on state television and radio said a third of the ministers in the new 30-member National Unity Cabinet were members of the SPLM, and the opposition party led Kiir's long-term rival Riek Machar under pressure from the United States, the United Nations and other powers. Both sides signed a peace deal in August, but it broke down repeatedly. Machar only returned to Juba on Tuesday and was swiftly given back his old job. Fighting broke out between both men supporters in the capital in December 2013 after Kiir sacked Machar as vice president. This triggered ethnically charged clashes across the oil producer that the UN says have killed thousands and forced more than 2.3 million to flee. Now, the terror group Islamic State claimed its first attack in Somalia earlier this week, though the claim has not been verified by forces on the ground. Meanwhile, Al-Shabaab militants have stepped up their attacks as Somalia prepares for elections later this year. As VOA's Henry Rijal reports, there are growing frustrations among Somalia's western backers over the country's slow progress in forming its own armed forces to establish security after 25 years of chaos.
Somali authorities say they are countering a resurgence from Al-Shabaab rebels after years of progress in driving back the militants.
Al-Shabaab has changed strategically their the operations from the face-to-face fight to target, the military bases, or target to the civilians, such as hotels, so they can terrorize the civilian population.
That has included a series of suicide attacks in recent weeks, many of them targeting government figures in the capital, Mogadishu. Analysts say Al-Shabaab has been extending its reach across East Africa as it has lost territory in Somalia.
So we've seen it exert a much greater level of influence in Kenya, for example. There's much higher levels of recruitment and fundraising going on in Kenya.
Kenya recently marked the first anniversary of the Garissa University attack, when Al-Shabaab gunmen killed 148 people. Kenya is one of the main contributors to the African Union peacekeeping force known as AMISOM. After initial territorial gains, Somali authorities say AMISOM forces have been largely confined to their barracks for the past year.
What we're seeing now is that AMISOM, as a result of those successes, is to a certain extent overstretched, meaning that it's having problems holding on to and establishing a presence in the territories that it has retaken.
Headline says AMISOM is also increasingly fragmented.
In Somalia especially, there is suspicion about what troop contributing countries are, what their interests are in the country, and that they may not be operating for the greater good of Somalia.
Somalia's western backers, including the United States, have been effectively paying the wages of Somali government troops. The European Union recently cut the monthly stipend it pays to AMISOM soldiers.
They need support by the international community because the government is financially not in a position to pay their salaries and to arm their military, and also to lift the arms embargo against the Somali National Army.
The United States has carried out a series of drone strikes against Al-Shabaab militants. The Somali government has welcomed the intervention and warns of a growing threat in the run-up to elections scheduled later this year. Henry Richwell for VOA News, London.
Before we continue with our coverage, let's just have those live pictures again of what's taking place in the city center. Earlier, of course, we told you that there's, of course, very many traffic snarls around the city in regards because of the heavy downpour that we experienced earlier. Also, the same is happening on Mombasa Road. There's quite a huge traffic snarl up, but of course, that has been the situation for hours now. A lot of drainage concerns because of the floods. Very many motorists, pedestrians were stranded for quite a long time just trying to get their way around this city. Of course, questions about just what is being done to ensure that this problem is sorted, especially right now that we are in the rainy season. We'll keep you updated on what happens on the ground throughout Friday briefing. And going back to matters conservation, the inaugural Giants Club Summit kicked off today in Nanyuki, bringing together global think tanks and frontline conservationists to address the issue of poaching in Africa. Strong proposals, including a total ban of ivory trade across the globe, came forth, as well as international cooperations in the fight against poaching. Our reporter Sharon Momanyi was there.
Up to 35,000 elephants are killed across Africa every year due to poaching. And in Kenya alone, 164 elephants and 35 rhinos were killed in 2014 alone. And it is this crisis that has seen the convergence of conservationists, diplomats and leaders, African leaders here at the Fairmont Mount Kenya Hotel in Nanyuki today, led by President Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya, President Yoweri Museveni of Uganda, and President Ali Bongo of Gabon, just to discuss matters to do with poaching and how to end this menace in Africa. The historic Great Elephant Census conducted by the organization Save the Elephants in 2014 gave even more alarming statistics.
In Tanzania, the Great Elephant Census found that elephants declined by 60%. In neighboring Mozambique, they decreased by 50%.
The brutal killing of elephants and rhinos gets personal to some like Ranger Edward Nderitu.
Lewa was in the forefront of this war, and we lost 13 rhino in just 2 years.
And it is the cause to combat the illegal wildlife trade that brought together leaders, entrepreneurs, philanthropists and global conservationists under the foothills of Mount Kenya to share thoughts and craft strategies on the same.
Is let's kill the market. Once and for all. Let's never again have ivory trade.
A cause that saw the presidents of Kenya, Uganda, Botswana and Gabon, countries which hold half of Africa's remaining elephants, form the Giants Club in 2015 in order to protect the species.
This rapid rise in value of forest elephant ivory has resulted in a massacre. In just 10 years, we have lost as many as 70% of the forest elephants of all Central Africa.
If there is a market, then you have the criminality, then you have corruption, the three combine, and the elephants are dead.
There has, however, been criticism on the move to ban 105 tons of ivory and 1.35 tons of rhino horns on Saturday, some viewing the move as a publicity stunt, a band-aid act that does not solve the actual poaching problem.
The burning of Kenya's elephant, ivory, and rhino horn stockpile, over which myself and my colleagues will preside this weekend, shows my government's strong commitment to fighting wildlife crime and putting wildlife products beyond any economic use.
Conservationists at the summit called for a greater sharing of intelligence across borders in a bid to identify and prosecute kingpins of poaching syndicates. Sharon Momanyi, KTN News, Nanyuki.
Right, so it's right about now that we get to know our guest anchors before the guest anchor. Are you excited? Are you looking forward to it? Reading news?
Well, I don't know. I don't know about reading news. Looks a bit scary. But,
really scary?
Yeah.
Lavin, what do you think after you've seen the drama behind the scenes?
I'd actually practiced for 6 months.
Because you're coming to Friday briefing 6 months ago.
You live by faith.
You live by faith.
But everything I practice is out the window.
All right,
we'll
so
just wing it.
So we can always have space for a sports anchor. So this is gonna be like an interview. For him. No, for him, not for you, Larry.
No,
remember you said you're just here.
No. It comes with a package.
What does that mean?
Can you imagine selling that to the people?
So you think he's
Sports
not
news with their segos?
No.
more marketable.
Don't use the Asegos.
Besides that, we can pronounce Deportivo La Coruña.
What's that?
Exactly. That's why you should hire us.
But that's the problem. That's exactly the problem, because as the viewers, we don't understand what that is.
No, you don't understand. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay, I don't understand. Please educate me.
Deportivo La Coruña? You don't understand that?
Please tell me.
It's a football. Let's do conservation and environment.
No, and that's okay. Fine. You know what?
It's a football team.
That's why I love rugby so much. I'm sorry. All right. So welcome, Larry Asego. Of course, you've heard the voice, and you've heard him on some place, on radio. And Larry Asego, who is a celebrated Kenya Sevens rugby player. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
So I want to start by, obviously, people are saying that you guys look so much alike, but you're very different. And it's because Larry, you're a bully. I've seen that already in the few minutes I've seen you. You look like the bully. Is that true? When you guys were growing up?
Yes.
Yes? Please don't be sure when you go home.
I'm actually the quiet one.
Really?
You'll be very surprised. I'm the quiet one.
So you just talk?
A typical weekend in the Asego household, I'm the quiet one.
Really?
Yes.
Is that true?
Yeah, actually, I think it's true, because all the talking, he has to earn that bread. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Yeah. So how has it been? On radio. I mean, you've been through so many shows throughout the 24-hour time.
Yeah.
How has it been? Do you love it? Do you think it's something that you want to ditch and do something else in the near future?
It's been a brilliant experience all through. Started off doing breakfast show, then I went to late night, went to mid-morning, I went to drive right now where I am, and it's been a roller coaster ride. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. I mean, it's just connecting with the people, getting to do it every single day. The tension of getting into studio and delivering.
I understand that.
It's not the easiest thing. People just think that when you go on air and you're just talking, it seems seamless, but behind that, it's by design. It's not by default. You have to practice it. You have to train it. I mean, when you're anchoring, it's a lot of practice behind it.
Definitely.
And then eventually you deliver it, and I will do it for as long as I have to do it.
Yeah.
Then eventually come and do sports anchoring here, since you already offered the job.
Well, I don't know. You have to talk to Joe Ageo, my managing editor.
Don't worry, Joe Ageo, come on.
We'll see if you can actually do it shortly. We'll see how you can do it. But also, the other thing is you're so much into sports.
Yes, I love sports.
Yeah.
Because I think sports actually a uniting factor. When you're supporting a team, whether it's football, rugby, hockey, whether it's athletics, I mean, we don't think about tribe. We don't see that this person is the one who scored, this person from this part of the country scored. It's a uniting factor.
Right.
And I believe sports is actually what is going to save the world. Because when you see some of these big nations that are conflicting, most of the times that they unite actually is on the field.
Yeah.
When you see the US playing either the Iran or Iraq, whatever it is, it's on the field. That's where you can actually bring them together.
Even here in Kenya during the matches, I mean, no one says like, okay, you come from this part of the country. Everyone, we're a team.
It's a uniting factor, and that's why actually I'm so much into sports. I believe we need to put more effort into actually promoting our sports men and women, because that's where national pride comes from.
But Lavi, now you're at the center of it.
Yeah.
How did you start your career in rugby?
Actually, funny story. Well, it's not so funny now that
I know he's laughing. I know why he's laughing.
But when I joined high school, actually the rugby crowd were the cool kids.
Of course, that's for sure.
Actually,
plus the basketball guys too.
Yeah, basketball.
Yeah.
So when I joined Form 1, actually I went for rugby training so that I don't do the chores that are given to Form 1.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it was actually
the cleaning of the dining hall.
Yeah, it was actually to Sky work.
Oh, really?
So I used to go with the rugby team. I just train, but then when it comes to the hard stuff, the hard contact, I used to run away.
Okay. So it's not by default that you wanted to do it. It's something that came as a mistake, that because you did not want to do some duties in school.
Exactly. Yeah, I was.
But has it paid off?
Definitely. It has, yeah.
All right, so of course you've been off the scene for quite some time because of the injury you had, but also there are very many questions about, are you retiring? Are you going to go back full swing?
Well, actually at the moment, because I got injured last year in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
I ruptured my Achilles. You see, these days I get these high-profile injuries. I rupture my Achilles. When I joined,
who gets that?
When I joined, it just used to be a blow in the eye, But these days,
but because you're a senior,
I have a bruised metatarsal, such terms. But anyway,
interesting.
Yeah, I ruptured my Achilles. It's been a long healing process.
Yeah.
And my focus was on to get my fitness back.
Right.
And I've done that through like Lamek Bawonko, the physiotherapist, and a lot of work done by my club, Mwamba. So at the moment I'm focusing on Mwamba. I've been focusing on the Kenya Cup, and hopefully like through that way I can get my fitness back. And if the coaches deem fit that they need me, then I'm always there. But my aim at the moment is to put myself in the best position to put myself for selection.
So you are not retiring anytime soon?
Who retires from rugby to do what? To do what? I don't know.
Maybe to go into, I don't know, football, something.
No, you don't retire from rugby to go to football. That's what we call hustling backwards.
Hustling backwards, I like that. All right, but then also the other thing is that we have to talk about is Singapore Sevens, which was really a historic moment for all of us.
Big, yes.
Talk to us about it. How did you feel watching the team, being out there winning?
Actually, Singapore Sevens is, if you want to know the magnitude of that victory, is the number of people that actually were touched personally, because you find there's the likes of Preet Nyandat, the guys who started the Sevens scene way back.
Right.
They started it, they took it all the way to where they could. They fell short on many occasions. Then there was the likes of Philip Mwenesi, Sami Kakame, who picked it up. Oscar Osiri picked it up, and the current coach, Benjamin Aimba, they took it. There was Dennis Mwanja, who came, Innocent Simiyu. There was our lot. Now there's Biko Adema. Then there's Oyo. You see, it's a whole generation of guys who tried to achieve something specific. And finally, for many of us who've seen it in our lifetime, I think it was immense. The emotion is immense, and it's actually something very big that happened.
Did you feel short that you were not part of that team at that time?
No, because it's not just about the destination.
Right.
It's also the journey that matters.
Okay.
So I believe my contribution towards where the team was at that moment, I think I was very happy for them. And I'm sure the guys who went before us, they were equally as happy. Of course, I would have loved to be there on that particular occasion, but I'm content knowing that my contribution towards
the bigger picture.
Exactly. As small as it is, that for me was golden.
All right. But the thing about their Segos, so to speak, is there is excellence in what you do. That's the truth. I mean, as you play, and of course in radio, and right here at the Standard Group, we have your brother, Nelson, who's a senior editor, and of course, again, Chris.
Yeah.
I mean, what does it take to be the best in what you do?
I think it's good grounding. It starts at home. It starts with the family. Of course, you have good support structures. You have parents who are disciplinarians. If you meet Mr. and Mrs. Asego, you'll understand why.
Well, talk to us about them. How are they?
I mean, we come from a large family.
Yes.
Okay, 10 kids.
Wow.
It's
so they aiming at a football team. Okay,
I mean, actually, we fell short of a rugby team, actually. But it's a big family, and of course, so many things are expected of you. Nothing is handed to you on a silver platter.
Yes.
You have to fight your way through. Okay, and that's what has made us grow to what we are. Okay, every single person is in pursuit of excellence in whatever it is that you do.
Right.
Okay, never fall short. From primary school, secondary school, and in everything that you do it well.
Yes.
So we say, do what you do it well.
But the other thing also is that, like you mentioned, it didn't come to you on a silver platter, and I'm sure it's also the same case for your other siblings. For people who are watching there, and it always feels like you have to know somebody to be someone. Is that the truth?
Actually, if I take it from a rugby perspective, the time I joined the national team, I think in 2002.
Right.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Wow.
It's been
I'm just short of asking you, how old are you?
I know you can do the math. Anyway, when I joined the national team, I joined it while playing for Mwamba. At that time, it was known that there was this notion that only people from Impala and Harlequins play for the national team. But I joined the national team from Mwamba.
Wow.
And that for me was an achievement.
Yes.
So the issue about you have to know someone, you have to have umetengenezewa njia.
Right.
For sports, it's pretty hard, because if you're a fraud, you'll be exposed very quickly.
Yes.
So just like that is as in life. So you work hard and you're rewarded.
But do you really have to focus on something? Because Larry, you are you're so many things. First of all, you're even into acting. You went now into radio, all those shows that you mentioned. I mean, to what point do you feel like this is the right place that I want to be? Also considering that growing up, you always have dissenting views about your mom wants you to be a doctor, your dad wants you to be a lawyer, you want to be an artist.
My dad was convinced that I was going to be a teacher.
Okay, you could pass for a teacher, by the
I
way.
am a teacher.
No, okay, but now,
Okay.
you know, like blackboard and everything.
But I do, it's not blackboard, it's whiteboard or a smart board.
All right.
But
Blimey. I know, you're just
everything
saying.
I've done has
Yeah.
built up to what I'm doing now.
Right.
I went to University of Nairobi. I did my education there, French and linguistics. Majored in French. I went to Alliance Française and started teaching there. And then from there, I got into acting with Heartstrings Kenya. And I acted with them for a long time, like 10 years on stage with the likes of Kenandambuki and everybody. And then from there, I got a call-up to go for an interview for my first radio gig because they saw what I did on stage. They're
Right.
like, can you replicate this on radio? And then, of course, we went for interviews, went for internship and audition and all that. And at the end, I was selected. So, I started growing that slowly. And then TV came along where I hosted a French quiz on TV and thereafter a game show. So it continued building up on what I'd done. Okay, I still didn't stop what I was doing in terms of teaching. I still teach French at Alliance Française. I do radio. Right now I'm not doing television. I built into something else, into photography. So it's pushing yourself to the limit and growing yourself. Don't get into that comfort zone and say that, listen, I am here and this is all I'm going to do. Explore everything that you want to do. Explore it and just do it. Do what you do well.
Okay, and talking about exploring and doing things well, Lavin, I hear there could be something to do with radio. In the offing. I don't know. I just heard. I don't know. Maybe you can say if it's true or not.
No, actually, what I decided to do is I have a sports podcast. Basically, I love sports.
Right.
I found someone who loves talking. So we decided, you know what, let's sit down and talk about sports.
Okay.
So we have a sports podcast, it's Bench Warmers. And it's good fun. It's something to do. It's not something pressure.
Yeah.
There's no pressure of the many cameras.
Okay. Like this one.
Yeah, I don't have to do makeup. So
he didn't want the makeup.
So it's just something for fun we do. But I like though it's growing. So far, we've done 30 episodes, majorly cover the Kenya Cup.
How can we listen to them?
We are currently on SoundCloud.
Okay.
If you just go to SoundCloud, just search for Bench Warmers.
Okay.
Our tagline is Bench Warmers, your girlfriend's favorite sports.
All right, I'm going to watch. I'm going to try and catch that.
Yeah.
All right, that's interesting. And Larry, is there anything else? Because I think you've done too much. Is it time to chill, or is there anything else you're looking
there's
into the
nothing
future?
there's nothing like doing too much.
Yeah.
I need to finish several things. You have
what are these things?
No, I have to be Kenya's ambassador to France at one point.
Okay.
I have ambassadorial ambitions.
Oh wow! All right.
I have to finish
So
my thesis for my doctorate.
Wow, great.
There's something just about Dr. Segwa. I don't know. It sounds nice.
But do you say?
I'll be tagging along on that one. You know, the way people confuse us sometimes.
Yeah.
Once you get that doctor,
that's
all about that life.
All of us.
I'm all about that life.
Okay, Segos. Okay, calm down.
You have so much.
Yeah.
You've been given life.
Yes.
Okay, enjoy it. Do everything that you want to do.
Exactly.
If you want to get into conservation, get into conservation and do it properly.
Right.
If you want to do sports, do it.
Do it. Do it and do it well.
And do it well because there's so many opportunities out there.
Yeah.
Just grab them and move with it.
All right.
Yeah.
How about grabbing this opportunity to read the news today?
Oh man.
All right, let's go. Psych. Let's go.
Okay.
No, not from here.
Yeah, from there.
Yes.
Serious?
Yeah, this is serious business. What do you mean you're reading news?
Is this an audition
This
interview?
is for real. Just take this as seriously as possible because this might just be it. You said you want to do a news together, like the Segos.
Yeah.
Sports news brought to you. Okay, have a seat.
I get to sit where you sit.
Yeah, just sit where it's a red seat. It's red because of it's hot.
It's a hot seat.
And please don't fall.
This one is higher.
Okay. You can take it.
Not when I'm looking down at
This reminds me of the pub. Anyway.
Just bring it down a bit.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
No, just wait.
Wait
for your brother. No, you see, this is exactly what I'm saying.
No, let's just do it. It's making us look bad.
Oh, I'm the one supposed to lift mine up?
Okay, lift yours. Okay.
Okay, it's because you're a bit...
No, it's fine. It's fine. Please just don't fall.
This is easy when you're in the pub. I don't understand how you never fall in the pub.
Someone needs to go to the gym.
Who? You?
No, I just said, hey.
So how will
don't
you
tell a woman that on live TV. All right.
You take the easy lines. No, I take the easy lines without the vocabulary.
There's that the guy who's pronouncing all the English words who's coming
He's
later.
coming shortly, yeah.
Onomatopoeia. So we definitely hope we're going to pronounce this right. Okay.
All right,
okay,
take it away. Introduce yourselves first.
This is Lavin Asego. And I'm Larry Asego, and welcome to Friday Briefing. Several hours since delivery, conjoined twins born yesterday at the Coast General Hospital are yet to be flown for specialized treatment in Nairobi. This despite doctors indicating that twins needed urgent intervention to survive.
KTN's Francis Ontoma reports.
Preliminary scan tests revealed that the baby's joint at the abdomen required urgent attention at the Kenyatta National Hospital. But several hours into the pronouncement, the babies are still lying at the Coast General Hospital, even as medics say they are in bad shape.
The babies were successfully delivered through cesarean section in our maternity theatre. Of course, the reason for cesarean section was compound presentation, and after the babies were delivered, we had to resuscitate them because of the slightly poor score.
Reports indicate that logistical arrangements at KNH seem too stretched to accommodate the twins, with incubators and intensive care unit said to be fully packed, something that now casts a dark shadow on the fate of the babies.
They were male twins, and they were resuscitated by our team in ICU and stabilized. One of them is on ventilator support. The other one is on oxygen.
The babies born weighing 4.6 kilograms share the liver and kidney, and according to medics, utmost care is required to separate them successfully. On their part, AMREF medical agency officials say they were on standby to airlift the babies once the green light was given.
We have discussed with AMREF and requested them to fly the babies to Kenyatta National Hospital, and we have informed Kenyatta National Hospital that these babies shall be arriving as soon as AMREF comes and picks them up so that they can undergo separation.
The mother of the babies is said to be in stable condition and currently undergoing treatment. Last week's death of another set of conjoined twins from Kisii Level 5 Hospital raised questions on capacity and preparedness by medical authorities for such eventualities. Francis Ontomwa, KTN News, Mombasa.
Right, let's now take a look at business, and the Just One Try business group, a family-owned business, has confirmed being behind the buying of collapsed pan paper mills to the tune of 900 million shillings. Plans are underway to make a 6 billion investment at the plant, paving way for the revamp of the factory that closed operations back in 2009 in Webuye, Bungoma County. The pan paper factory is set to resume production in 4 months, targeting 25,000 of tons of paper per annum in the first line under the new investor.
We are now in a position where we have signed the agreement with the bidder. The bidder and is Right Group, and the bid is to actually to buy these assets and to run this factory as a paper mill, and not to speculate or to sell the land. This is a factory which is going to be resuscitated.
We will want to rehabilitate there are 4 lines in pen paper. We have undertaken at least within the next 4 months to rehabilitate at least 1 line we start with, and consequently we'll attempt on the 2nd, 3rd and 4th line in time. The challenge is because there is some equipment which has to be replaced, and those equipments, they're long delivery periods up to 18 months, 20 months, things like boilers, because those are the challenges we are facing.
The Kwale Mineral Sands project, which is Kenya's first large-scale mining project, has made significant economic contributions since the development of the mine commenced in November 2011, while its future potential is equally significant, according to a new report by Ernst & Young. The report, which quantify the total economic and revenue contributions from the development to the operation of the project, showed that the base titanium operated mine has made a substantial contribution to the establishment and expansion of the mining economy. All this is through direct, indirect and induced benefits such as employment, building a local supply chain, as well as raising Kenya's international profile as a global mining destination.
The issues of benefits for communities in mining areas and Kenyans at large is of great interest to the government. It is the deal breaker in the relationship between the miners and communities, and determine whether you get the social license to start any operations. Very key. because community issues have been known to bring so many issues that are not very good to development of mining sector. The benefits of minerals to communities must, of essence, be focused on both short-term as well long-term benefits. The current generation must therefore be accountable to future generations. Minerals are not infinite. At some point, they perish. So they're not infinite resource, but the benefits must be for posterity.
Wale mine is estimated to contribute around 20 million US a year to government coffers through a combination of royalties, PAYE, paid on behalf of our employees, withholding taxes, further taxes from our supply chain, so the profits that people are making on the services that we procure and the tax that they then pay, and further on down the chain. So it's estimated at the moment as being about 20 million. And as I said, there's 100 million in GDP. So again, that multiplier effect from government mining revenue compared to the mining economy impact is about 5 to 1.
With a flurry of events happening in Kenya's banking sector in the past few months, the call to merge banks is now gaining momentum, even as the sector continues to reel from a confidence crisis. On Transformers this week, KTN's Abby again speaks to KCB Group CEO Joshua Oigara to pick his mind on what it would take to consolidate the banking industry.
Kenya's banking sector is among the most robust in Eastern Africa. It has recently experienced deepening levels of financial inclusion, a clear indication of a growing market yearning for financial services. Today, the number of licensed commercial banks stand at 43, with the regulator having put on hold licensing of any new banks into the market.
Now it's more, well, wait a second.
With more banks in the market, this has set a fertile ground for new entrants who can have a size of Kenya's unbanked market.
You asked me about my vision in the next, by 2018 or 2020. We like to see a bolder way of consolidation of the sector.
The thinking behind having many banks was to open the industry for competition, as players would fight it out by having competitively priced products. This has, however, not been the case.
Just look at the list of the most expensive banks in the industry and look at the most competitive banks. Just look at the numbers. The numbers are very clear. So when you talk about being niche and competitive, that is not based on fact. That's more of a feeling. Now, you are entitled very much to your opinions, but I like that we deal with the facts. The fact is consolidation, build in efficiency, delivers better capital to deploy for projects, and ultimately reduces cost of credit.
The fresh calls to consolidate the banking sector are premised on having stronger institutions that can withstand market pressures that may emerge. So far, at least 3 banks have been placed under receivership as a result of failing to comply to set out prudential guidelines. This in itself went to show the vulnerability of the banking sector, with billions of depositors' monies being locked up as investigations continue. Smaller banks will be the biggest casualties in the event banks consolidate through either mergers or acquisitions.
What we're looking for is natural consolidation. That is all part of the change, the transition, and institutions need to consolidate naturally so as to be more resilient. What we are not going to do is to force marriages. We are not going to do that. You know what happens when you get into a forced marriage.
Under the new plan, Treasury is looking to raise core capital for banks from the current 1 billion shillings to 5 billion shillings, a condition that could expose mid-tier banks and either force them to close shop or be bought out.
Just look at the top 5 banks in Africa. They're the largest banks in the continent. Look at the banks in West Africa, largest banks in the continent. In fact, if you look at the top 10 banks, there is no banks from this part of the world. We come in almost top 40. Now, we can continue speaking and talking and thinking about this issue, or we can take action. My belief, the future belongs to the doers.
Abi Agina, KTN Business.
Central Bank Governor Patrick Njoroge has asked banking institutions not to blame Islamic banking on their financial situations. The governor says Islamic banking has in no way and cannot in any way be the reason for some banks' non-performing loans got to the level they did. On the contrary, he added Islamic banking was transparent and free of manipulation.
About that. It was about people who could not answer the question to the auditors and then tried to wiggle and hide behind a wall or hide behind a label which is this was an Islamic product. As a matter of fact, we call it Islamic banking, but one could even, for reasons that I think are obvious, but one could even say, or actually some say Sharia compliance and things like that.
Right, so it's time for us to learn proper English pronunciations like onomatopoeia. So let me bring in Willis, the word master. Willis, it's great to see you after so long. How are you doing?
Betty, I'm fine, thanks. And how are you?
I'm great, Willis. It's great to see you. Let's start with that word that Larry Asego put out on Twitter. Onomatopoeia, matopoeia. How do we go about that one?
You say onomatopoeia. Pia. You have the primary stress on the final or the terminal syllable. Pia. Onomatopoeia.
Okay, I can tell you for free that he was not going to be saying, not going to say that. He was saying onomatopoeia, so obviously you've taken him to school on that. All right, Willis, so let's begin with our word on the street. Let's take a look at what Kenyans had to say this time round.
Kugme, hawe aliko lilo, kugme. Kwagma. Nisema tu kweli yangu. Kwagma, sanganya. Wagman. Sawa. Nasema hapa hivi, nasema Wagman. Wagman.
Mara tena?
Wagman. Kogmaya. Hii ni ngumu man. Sijui Kigomaya.
Mara tatu hivi.
Kigomaya. Kuangamia. Kuagmire.
Nataka niseme yako mzuri.
Siniva. Kwagmaya. Hii ni ngumu man. Sijui Kigomaya. Wagman. Kuangamia.
Okay, so we have my favorite was Kwagmire. Yeah? So talk to us about that one.
Betty, sometimes, learning has something, juicy or tasty. Like you've talked of Kwagmire and mine was Kwangamia. Anyway, that being that, Betty, the correct or acceptable pronunciation of this word is quagmire. Okay. But remember, you can also say quagmire. Okay. Quagmire, quagmire. The two pronunciations are acceptable. Quag or quag. Right. Quagmire. Quagamia, quagmire, quamaya. No, but it happened.
Okay, got it. Willis got it. Okay, you haven't changed one bit, Willis. All right, so let's move on to the next word. Devolution or devolution. That also has some differences.
We also have two acceptable pronunciations for that word.
Yeah.
The verb is devolve, to devolve.
Yeah.
But we say devolution. That is in British English.
Okay.
But in American English, you'll hear of devolution. Devolution, devolution.
All right.
One can use both pronunciations.
Okay, Willis, now let's move on to this other word, especially with the rains now. We'll be hearing this so many times from our journalists, our news presenters and anchors. So, do the rains wreak havoc or wreak havoc? Talk to us about that one.
Betty, the word wreak means cause, Rains cause havoc.
Okay.
So you say wreak. That is W-R-E-A-K. Wreak. Wreaked havoc. Then we have wreck. Wreck is W-R-E-C-K.
Yeah.
W-R-E-C-K. Wreck. That is to damage.
Yeah.
Like to wreck the boat.
Okay.
And we also have wretch. That is W-R-E-T-C-H.
Yes.
W-R-E-T-C-H. Wretch. That is like a wretched boy.
All right.
But when we talk of cause havoc, you say wreak. And you got it right, by the way, Betty, in your bulletin.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Well, I learned from you, Willis, is to wreak havoc. All right, let's move on to this other word. Now, this one, I used to have a teacher who used to say conscience. Is it conscience? Conscience? Talk to us about that one.
We have science. Science.
Yeah.
But this word, Betty, is not related to science.
Yeah.
It's conscience. Conscience.
Conscience.
One time I remember talking about the regular nature of English spelling and pronunciation. Just like I gave an example of donkey and monkey. You don't say monkey because of donkey, and you don't say donkey because of monkey. So we have to understand the regular aspects of the English phonology. That is the sound system. In this case, we say conscience. Conscience, not conscience.
All right, got it, Willis. Okay, moving on to this word. It's a three-letter word, E-R-A. This era or era?
E-R-A.
Yeah.
You say era.
Era.
E-R-A, era. The era of so and so, or the era of such and such a thing. Now, we have to remember that E-R-R-O-R is error. That is mistake. Error.
Yeah.
But E-R-A is era. But
Era.
Betty, I said there are people who may choose to use the American English. In American English, you will hear of error.
All right, got it. But we prefer the British English, which is era. Got it, Willis.
Era.
Okay, so moving on to another word. Do you say depreciate or depreciate?
Depreciate.
Depreciate.
Not depreciate. Depreciate.
Yeah.
The stress is on the second syllable.
Yeah.
Depreciate. Depreciate. Just like appreciate.
Okay.
You don't say appreciate. You get me?
Got it, Willis.
No.
But you know, sometimes, you know, it's shida ya kutamka. That's why someone would say appreciate. You know, I appreciate you.
Well, can I tell you also something small? Cucumber, you may hear somebody saying shoshomba or giugamba. It happens.
Shoshomba. Okay, that's a strange way, but I'm sure it happens.
And all that. But, you know, it's nobody's wish to have what we call the first language or mother tongue influence. It happens,
yes,
but we can come out of it.
It really does. It really does. It really does, Willis. All right, let's move on to our feedback question. And do you say boutique or boutique?
Well, I remember that question came from the wonderful sisters Dashley and Daphne David.
Okay.
So Dashley and Daphne David should say boutique. Boutique, not boutique.
Boutique.
Boutique, not boutique. Yes,
Okay.
you say boo, then teak.
Okay.
Boutique.
Boutique.
So we should always get it right. Which also reminds me about one Helen Gatti and Henry Karidi Betty. They also talked of serene, and that Karidi Henry is the one who brought us the word era.
Okay, got it. So it's serene and era and boutique.
Serene, era, boutique.
Boutique. Got it, Willis. Okay, quickly let's move on to our surprise word. Do we have any other apart from boutique?
Betty, we can't miss a surprise word.
All right.
For tonight, I've taken a word that is commonly used, but sometimes it has a problem to many people. What we see is embody. embody, and many people say embody, which is wrong. The pronunciation of this word is embody. Embody. So you say to embody. Embodied, embodiment, not embody, embodied, embodiment. Just like embezzle. Embezzle, not embezzle, the way we say locally. And finally, Betty, we have words which confuse people. And so many people make this mistake. We have the word integrity.
Right.
Integrity.
Yes.
Not integrity. Many say integrity as if we have an R in that word.
Yeah.
The upper word, no, that is wrong. The lower one, yes, integrity. So those who say integrity should avoid it. Just like I said, we don't say integrated. Integrated, no. Integrated. Integrated. We don't have integrated. And we say integrity, not integrity. Betty, how are you?
Lots of surprises there. Integrated. That's a surprise, Willis. Willis, it's always a pleasure having you on Friday Briefing. It's great to be back to learn from the word master himself that we say boutique and not boutique or any other pronunciation for that matter. Thank you very much, Willis.
And Betty, you know, it's always my pleasure talking to you also because of the wonderful work that you always do on air. And remind them, they can always reach me on Twitter, that is at Willis Ochieng 1. At Willis Ochieng 1.
All right, at Willis Ochieng 1. Thank you very much for joining us. Right, so before we get to sports news with Moses Wahisi, let's have some breaking news for you that is coming to our newsrooms. And we understand that a 6-story building has collapsed in Huruma next to Boothia Club. And the Kenya Red Cross Society is on the scene, is at the scene, of course, doing search and rescue and responding to that particular incident. I repeat again, a 6-story building has collapsed in Huruma next to Boothia Club. And Kenya Red Cross is at the scene, of course, trying to search and rescue people who we understand are still trapped inside that building. It was a building that had tenants inside, and we understand that most of them are still trapped inside that 6-story building that has just collapsed in Huruma next to Boothia Club. Of course, we get more details from different institutions later on, but for now we want to speak to Moses Wafula, who is a resident of Huruma. Moses, if you can hear me, kindly tell us what took place.
I can't get you, madam.
Moses, tell us what happened. Yes. Moses, tell us what...
I can't get you. There's too much noise around. There's too much commotion. A 60-story building collapsed with the people inside this evening.
All right. Do we know how many people could be trapped inside?
I don't know which method we can use to communicate. I'm not getting you, madam.
All right. Thank you very much.
Too much noise around. There's too much noise. There's too much noise. Everything is in chaos. People have died in a 60-story building. It has just collapsed in this rain. The building was built next to the river, and I think the foundation was weak. That is why it has collapsed.
Right. Thank you very much, Moses Wafula, for the details there. Of course, there is obviously some crazy commotion at that particular area where a 6-story building has just collapsed. Well, we do not have verified information as to if there are any fatalities following that unfortunate incident, but we'll try and get more details before we finish up the bulletin. But of course, also we'll get you updates throughout the night about this incident that has just taken place in Huruma, where a 6-story building has just collapsed, and we understand that there are people who have been trapped inside. We still do not know what exactly happened and how many people are trapped inside, or whether there are any fatalities, but we'll get those details and we'll get them to you soon as we can. But for now, though, let's cross over to Moses Wahisi in our sports studio to give us details of what is happening in the world of sports, including the Rio Olympics. Moses, talk to us about that.
Yes, a lot is happening in the world of sports, and it's so sad in what is happening in Ruma. Let's hope that the different families that are there are going to be rescued in good time. But to matters sports, we start with matters athletics, where the Kenya Defence Forces Athletics Championships finals had no surprise package, with Benjamin Magut defending the 1500 meters title for the 5th time. In the 800 meters finals, Nicholas Kiplangat defended his title, clocking 1 minute 43.37 seconds, while Sela Jepleting bagged the ladies' title.
Hiya, gentlemen.
As battles for national trial slots intensify. In the 800-meter women's final, Sela Jepleting reigned supreme, winning the race in a time of 2 minutes 2.2 seconds. Jepleting fended off competition from Winnie Jepet, who finished second, as Regina Mwangi closed on the 3rd place. In the men's 800-meter finals, Nicholas Kiplangat retained his title, clocking 1 minute 43.37 seconds, ahead of Jonathan Kitili, who settled for 2nd place.
Sitaweza shinda Winnie Chebet. Winnie Chebet ni mtu wa 800, lakini tumekuja na yeye mwisho, nikasema wacha ning'ang'ane, ndio nikaweza kushinda.
In the 1500-meter race, James Magut was a step ahead of his opponents as he retained his crown for a 5th time running. Magut, who is preparing himself for Doha Diamond League, crossed the line in a time of 3 minutes 44.4 seconds. Vincent Leting finished 2nd, while Cornelius Kiplangat was 3rd.
Hii ni mara tano kwangu kuchukua KTF championship na niko na furaha sana.
Abel Mutai was victorious in 3000 meter steeplechase, while in the men's 5000 meter, Silas Ruto outclassed Emmanuel Kipsang to win in a time of 30 minutes 29.6 seconds. In other races of the day, Mike Mokamba was untouchable as he cruised to victory in the 100-meter finals, while Mary Tanui was triumphant in the women's race. As the Defence Forces Athletic Championships comes to a close, the winners will take part in the East Africa Military Games in Rwanda, while also eyeing a slot in the Kenyan team that will take part in the Rio Olympics. Robinson Okenye, KTN Sports.
Thank you, Robinson, for that piece. Now, the government has promised to fast-track the process of ensuring that the 2017 World Youth Championships in Nairobi is a success. Sports Cabinet Secretary Dr. Hassan Wario has revealed that the government has handed the local organizing committee 2 billion Kenyan shillings so as to aid in the preparations.
And we think one of them is the man who can do that job. So, well done, equally, we addressed various issues. One is the budgetary issue, that the government has given through the cabinet an approval of 2 billion Kenyan shillings for the games next year, and a percentage of that has been already allocated to the ministry. So we have 700 million already allocated to the ministry to start the purchase of some of the key equipment. The venue that is Kasarani, we have to make sure we spruce up the venue to a world-class venue.
Now, this weekend, KPL action takes a break, and it will not take the center stage, but the local soccer menu is going to be spiced by the KPL Top 8 Knockout Tournament. The quarterfinals of the annual tournament, now in its 6th edition, will be held between May 1st and 2nd. Regular winners Tusker FC were drawn against GoTV Shield holders Bandari, and will be playing this Sunday as 4-time KPL winners Ulinzi Stars and multiple Kenyan champions FC Leopards face off on the same day. Gor Mahia will open their KPL Top 8 Knockout Tournament title defense against a tricky Ushuru FC on May 2nd, and struggling Sofapaka goes against an ever-improving Moroni Youth.